multiculturalism in Canada? What does it mean for me? I am an ethnic minority, not a Muslim woman, bit of an alien to my own community because I differ from the normal or the norm. I do not wear any visible signs or symbols of Hinduism. Perhaps I do not act like one because that's how I was brought up. So what does multiculturalism mean to a person like me? It is being endorsed at the state level, at the national level by Canadians. They think it's a great thing. Of course it's a great thing, but then that's the utopian concept of it. What does multiculturalism mean to a person like me? It means endorsement to my community, to have me behave in a certain fashion, to wear the bindi or the kajal. But when I do that, the other minorities start to target me because I come from the most tiny ethnic minority perhaps in the world, smaller than even the Jews are. But everybody talks about discrimination towards Muslims, towards Jews. What about me? What about women like me? What about our experiences? That is a chapter for another day. So here's the thing about multiculturalism. You have people from all over the world coming to Canada. They're used to a certain particular way of living. They have cultural norms. They live together because it's a new country and they feel closer to each other. In the process, perhaps we are creating not a national identity, but ghettoism. I'm sorry I'm using such a strong word, but it means that you are coalescing together because you feel part not of a nation, but part of a community. Of course, communities make up the bigger nation, but what does it mean to have a community follow the normal rules and regulations? Constitution protects all the multicultural tribes and ethnicities. So why do we have to have these visible endorsements of multiculturalism? That means there's something lacking within the legal system, that if a wrong is done to me, or if I'm perceived in a certain way, the laws are not strong enough, or the execution of the laws is not fast enough. So the society or the culture that you come from, or the community you come from, becomes your pivotal point of documentation or getting justice. And that is where the individual versus the society comes in. If you're not that kind of a person, if the community perceives you as being different, you cannot, and the other communities see you as being different too. You cannot go to any one of those because you're aliens, and you may perhaps be attacked by your own community or by a community that perceives you to be not part of anything at all and wants you to to follow the line or follow. And of course, in Canada, society or communities have a large role to play. So sometimes the individual belonging to a particular community may be forced to wear those visible symbols of belonging to a community, and the person may not want to, but is forced into it because at a wider national level you're part of a community, so your value is enhanced because you're following the visible social, cultural, economic norms of that particular community, and you're ostracized if you do not follow that community. But what does it mean for that person or for that society or that community in a bigger society? It means you become visible targets of the others who may perceive you as the aliens who have come to this country, bringing their own culture, diluting what was already existing. So where does that, so you become visible, so your community becomes a visible target. And I'm not sure where it ends or begins in the larger context what this means. You have the liberty as an individual to follow your visible signs of religion or ethnicity, but what does it mean at a national level to endorse those ethnic eccentricities, not eccentricities, ethnic symbols, visible symbols that mark you from a particular community. It also means that you're endorsing some of the negative aspects that silently are being followed in that community. And the larger nation never sometimes gets to know about it. So when at a national level you're endorsing something that is seen as anathema or antithetical to the values of the society that you're being planted into, then you're endorsing something that may be really negative to the modern society. You know, every society evolves. And so they may see this as going backward. So in a democracy, the Constitution protects your right to religious freedom. So, what extra does multiculturalism do? When the Constitution protects your right of freedom to religion, what does multiculturalism do? In my humble opinion, perhaps it encourages people to cling on to their cultural norms, which is good, but perhaps to view other communities through those cultural norms. Perhaps we don't want to be a melting pot here in Canada like the US, but multiculturalism perhaps encourages us to coalesce amongst our own and to carry on into future generations some ideological beliefs, some cultural beliefs, or some ideology that perhaps could be shed. Or perhaps it encourages people to influence politics, to influence the political system. And in a democracy, as it is, ethnicities do matter a lot as far as voting goes, especially because some of the ethnicities, they are no more so minor in their representation. So over a period of time, let's say 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, over a period of time, the minority may increase its footstep, may increase its demographic footstep or its footstep, and may start influencing. But the influence is fantastic if it is done according to the constitution of this country or any country which believes in multiculturalism. But if they bring their own ways of looking at other groups or looking at the world as at large, then what do we do? Then what do we do? So Canada professes to be a multicultural society. Is there a guarantee that you will not be persecuted, or you will not be attacked, or there will be no hate crimes against you just because it's been endorsed at the federal level or at the national level? No, there is no mechanism whereby these kind of crimes, hate crimes, can be addressed or can be prevented just because society at large has been told that we believe in multiculturalism and preserving the ethnicities that all the immigrants come with, So eventually they do have to go to a court of law. They do have to go to the police. And the police is just another question mark, because has the police been sensitized on just one community, the hate crimes that are going on against one community? I dare say, this is my personal experience, that despite repeated calls every day of my life, for the period that I continue to go through it, for the period of the hate crime, which was at its peak at then, they could have prevented it. But at the end of the day, I found that they had been sensitized. They were not sensitive to other communities, the pain that other communities face. It's not just the Jews and the Muslims that face discrimination or hate crimes. It is those minorities, those women who have to remain silent or are forced to remain silent. They have nowhere to go. They're perceived as different. So they're perceived as different from their own community. They're abused, not by their own husbands, unfortunately or fortunately, but by society at large, which has the power to to do whatever it does, because sometimes the police is insensitive to communities other than the Jews and the Muslims. In such a beautiful place like Canada, what does multiculturalism mean? The question is, do visible signs of ethnicity make us prominent targets? Does it mark us out for hate crimes? I would say not always, but sometimes, yes.